Footage has been released from the area around the village of Demidovka in Russia's Belgorod region, where fighting has been underway for more than 2 weeks. Drone footage and footage shared by Telegram channels close to the Russian military show the destruction of dragon teeth barriers on the border. Russian Air Force helicopters regularly fly over the area, where a large number of armored vehicles belonging to both sides have been destroyed. It should be noted that the Ukrainian army crossed the Russian border into the Belgorod region in March and took control of several settlements in the area. Ukrainian troops also destroyed bridges used by the Russian army to transport military supplies in the region, using its main aircraft.
The Russian army attacked the defensive fortifications of the Ukrainian defense forces in several directions. The attacks were repelled. In Volchansk, in the Kharkov direction, no positions were lost. The enemy concentrated its main efforts on maintaining the combat capability of the forward units, moving additional personnel and evacuating its wounded. The press service of the Operational Tactical Group of Forces Khortytsa reported. It is noted that in the Kupiansk direction, enemy infantry attacks have been successfully repelled near Petrov-Pavlovka, Stepnaya, Novoselovka, Peshchanoy, and Zagrizovo. The enemy is again trying to transfer personnel to the western bank of the Oskol River. The defense forces are taking measures to prevent its advancement and movement. In the Liman direction, the occupation army attacked near the settlements of Nadia, Novomikhailovka, Novoye, Yekaterinovka, Zelenaya Dolina, Kolodyazy, and Toskoy. The enemy's assault actions were repelled. The enemy also unsuccessfully carried out offensive actions in the Serebryanskoy forestry, the report says. In the Seversky direction, our defenders did not allow the tactical situation near Ivano-Daryevka and Belgorovka to worsen. After inflicting fire damage, the enemy retreated. It is also noted that in the Kramatorsk and Toretsk directions, the enemy carried out assault operations of varying intensity in the areas of Predechchino, Chasov Yar, and Toretsk. No positions were lost. In the direction of Alexandropol, the enemy carried out an attack using BMPs and MTLBs. As a result of the battle, our defenders destroyed the enemy equipment. In the Pokrovsk direction, the aggressor army continues to attack with isolated use of equipment. Offensive actions of varying intensity occurred in the areas of Yelizavetovka, Novokrenka, Udachny, Novoalexandrovka, Kotolyarovka, Priobrazenka, Bogdanovka, Alexeyevka, and Andreevka. To move its personnel to forward positions and to concentration areas, the enemy actively used 9 armored vehicles and 3 cars. Due to the timely detection of enemy equipment, our defenders inflicted fire damage. As a result, the enemy's losses were 31 soldiers, 10 armoured vehicles, 3 tanks and 4 armoured vehicles were destroyed, as well as 2 cars. Another enemy tank was damaged. The defence forces did not allow the loss of position, the report says. In the Novopavlovsk direction, the enemy tried to break through our defensive lines in the area of Konstantinopol, Razliv and Bulatskoy. The attacks were successfully repelled. At the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russians believed that their fighters would dominate the air, but everything turned out differently. The occupiers are experiencing the loss of supersonic Su-34 fighter bombers, the hardest. This was reported by military observer and retired U.S. Army Special Forces warrant officer Steve Balestrieri in his column for 1945. He recalled that in the first month of the full-scale war in Ukraine alone, the Russians lost 286 aircraft of all types. Among them were many fighters, which they considered to be among the best. Balestrieri noted that the Su-34 is a twin-engine, two-seat, multi-role fighter bomber that was originally developed for the Soviet Air Force in the 1980s. However, the aircraft only entered into service in 2014 due to financial problems. The Su-34 is powered by a pair of Saturn AL-31FM1 turbofan engines, giving the aircraft a top speed of Mach 1.8+, or 2,223 kilometers an hour when fully loaded, the observer emphasized. He added that the aircraft's combat radius is about 1,094 kilometers. The fighter bomber carries a 30mm GSH-30-1 autocannon with 180 rounds and has a dozen loading points for various bombs and missiles. According to Balestrieri, the Russians did not expect the Ukrainian forces to demonstrate such a multi-layered defense that could repel threats at different altitudes and distances. This is when they discovered that the Su-34 is vulnerable when flying at low and medium altitudes. The observer shared that, to date, the occupiers have lost at least 35 Su-34s in battle. He does not rule out that the Russians could have lost even more of their aircraft as a result of attacks by Ukrainian drones. Balestrieri recalled that in November 2024, the Russians made a fuss about delivering a batch of new Su-34s. In reality, it was about 2 aircraft. Moreover, in March 2024, Russia lost 8 Su-34 aircraft in 12 days. 3 of them were destroyed on the same day, Balestrieri noted. Earlier, the Russians began using new UMPK-PD aerial bombs on Su-34 fighter bombers. The need to develop a UMPK module with increased range has been discussed in the Russian Federation for several months. In addition, military expert Alexei Getman shared that the Russian Federation could have re-equipped the Su-34 to launch the Kinzhals. In order to launch the Kinzhals from other aircraft, it would only be necessary to redesign the mounts, he noted.